When most people think of stem cells, they usually think of the ethical issues involved with them, like extracting the cells from embryos. That is not what I'm going to be talking about today. What I'm going to be talking about today is the issue most scientists discuss, which is the practicality of stem cell usage to help us maintain a healthy life. My claim is stem cells are a practical medical treatment because it has the potential to perform better and at a much safer level than today's modern methods. And I will be talking firstly about how stem cells are a stronger form of medication, and then I'll discuss how they are safer or they can enhance previous forms of treatment methods. There's a lot of words put there. Well, stem cells well, firstly, stem cells are a much stronger form of medication simply because of their unique properties, which allows them to take the form of many other cells in our body, from bone cells to neural cells, brain cells. And my first point is, well, that was my first point. I'm sorry. One study by NIH, the national NIH is one test by the NIH was stem cells were able to treat people with AMI, which is acute myosin incidents, or aka heart attacks. And upon usage of stem cells, they were able to lessen the chronicness of these heart attacks, as well as reduce the buildup of blood, the intense pain, and trouble breathing. Secondly, stem cells have a certain property which allows them to stick to a lot of surfaces, like, for example, plastic. So in case you have a leg replacement, stem cells can be used to, or can be surgically attached onto a surface, so that way they can provide a constant source of renewable blood cells for the parts there. Most importantly, stem cells can be used to repair tissues and organs with their ability to adapt on the cell they work. You inject stem cells into a certain region, and then they sort of form into the cells that are around it. Like, they sort of breed off the cells around them. So if you have a damaged kidney, you can insert some stem cells, and they eventually form into kidney cells, which are created to distribute urine and collect waste in the blood system. Second claim is that they are a much safer alternative to medications that they also enhance. One point is that, a big point is in the treatment of cancer patients, where most treatment is caused by chemotherapy, which is where radiation exposed to body cells, which kill the cancer cells, but it also harms sensitive tissue of the healthy cells. Well, research conducted by Dr. Jennifer Addison has been proven that they shield cells, and that in the therapy they were basically shielding the healthy cells and letting the stem cells take all the radiation, as well as killing the cancer cells at the same time. I guess that's it.
All right, well, I like the contrast at the beginning to the value issue and an explanation about where the argument is you're attempting to shift it to. What I think is missing in the introduction, though, is some explanation about what the conflict is. What is in dispute about this? Are there people who say that this stem cell research doesn't work? Are there people who are suggesting that we're wasting our time and energy on this, that the research that you were citing is meaningless? I don't know why there's a controversy or what's being argued about this. It sounds to me a lot like an informative speech about some of the breakthroughs that are being made with stem cell research, and I don't know what is in dispute about that particular point. There may be some dispute about whether or not we need embryonic stem cell research or adult stem cell research and which kind works the best, or whether or not we have these new kinds of created cells, that pluripotent cells that we've actually created from adult stem cells, and whether or not they would be successful. There might be some controversy on those issues, and I think you need to give us a little bit more context on that. It sounds like you set up a structure at the beginning of the speech, but I don't really think that you stick to that structure much, and I got lost a few times trying to figure out how information was being developed. It seemed like some of the examples came up a little more randomly than you had intended, and that they needed to build more so that the conclusion was a little bit stronger. You had some pretty good examples that you talked about. You explained them, although they sometimes don't sound like they sound like summaries of the incidents rather than reports on the incidents. And I'd like to know, how many people did they do this test on where they injected stem cells into the heart to prevent myocardial infarction, that kind of stuff. Is there any statistical information on how successful it is in comparison to other kinds of treatments? It seems like that's a little bit low-key. Like I said, it sounds more like it's informing us about what the potential here is rather than making an argument in favor of those things. You do want to... Obviously, you're having a couple of problems with pronunciation issues or the source citations, and you want to make sure that you practice those a little bit more, spend a little bit more time on it. NIH, did you figure it out? National Institute of Health? And then at one point it sounded like you were quoting Jennifer Aniston, and I thought, she was great in Friends, but I'm not really sure she's a doctor. But maybe that's the same name. It was just it wasn't quite clear. So you want to practice those things. I know it's tough, especially when you're dealing with a medical subject. There's a lot of terminology that's not familiar. That might mean that you have to put in a little bit extra effort. You guys ever use like dictionary.com or freedictionary.com? They've got an icon there that pronounces the words for you if you type them in. And you can hear and listen to it being pronounced, and that'll help. I don't know that it'll work for the names, like Dr. So-and-so's name, but for everything else it would get it pretty clear, and that's a good way to maybe practice it. All right.